What's up, Sonic movie fans, and welcome to episode 88 of the Sonic Movie Show, the only show that's about Sonic news, and Sonic movie news. My name is Ethan, and with me on this very fine and rainy day is Devin.
Pixies and Sonic Youth was so important to the 80s.
Today's episode of the Sonic... What was that from?
You don't know?
No.
David Bowie. David Bowie said that.
I could barely understand what you were saying, so...
I was trying to do a British accent like this.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I looked up Sonic quotes on brainyquote.com, and the first one that popped up was a David Bowie quote. They said Bowie because there's a place nearby here spelled the same way, but everyone calls it Bowie. My brain had a mix-up.
Wow, I've never
and also
been there.
I picked it
never
because
will.
he said 80s.
And Sonic is not from the 80s.
Or we're in episode 88.
Oh.
We're in the 80s.
It's been a long day. And on long days like this, I like to sit back, relax, and play a video game. And I'm all out of things to play. I've beaten everything. I'm just bored.
You've done it all.
I've done it all. I've done it fucking all. I want a new game. And when it gets like this, I just don't feel like just picking up a new game. I want my game. You know what I mean? I want the thing in my head. I want an Eggman game.
You want an Eggman game?
Devin.
I wonder if that's the topic we're doing today.
Devin, let's make an Eggman game. I'm tired.
So this is in a way part of the universe, the video game universe we've been building here. Because we did a console, we did a Tales game recently. What was that, like a month ago? Or was
yeah,
it
it was. Well, it feels like so much news has happened since then. Like it felt like years since we had Tales God Patrol or whatever.
We had Tales God Patrol where he
Church Patrol.
Church Patrol, where he goes around and tells bullies to not bully and tells them to get with it, aka with the Bible. We knew that was gonna be a smashing hit, and that was gonna blow up.
Sega Super Remastered handheld off the charts.
Yeah. But we have to make a new game because you're bored, and also the company needs money. The new Sega that we created.
So now,
brains.
There has been an Eggman game in the past. I don't
yeah?
think it came to Japan. I think it was only in America because they took...
Oh, that's different. I thought it would be the other way around.
There is a puzzle series called Puyo Puyo. Perhaps you've heard of it. Basically just kind of like Dr. Mario, or in the Tetris vein of like you have a column, you're dropping things in it, right? A pair of two different blobs, one of two different colors, right? It's like a match. You match four of them up, and then they disappear, right? It's one of those things. But you're blopping them down, you're shifting them around. For some reason, the name Puyo Puyo not gonna sell in America. Every single time, it's like, nope, we need to change the name. Yoshi's Attack, Pokemon Puzzle League, or whatever, right?
Wario's Blitzkrieg, yeah.
So they made one, and then they reskinned it Sonic themed to release in America, and they called that Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine.
Oh, that's right. I do remember this.
Yeah. A lot of people know the name. It's actually one of the bosses in Sonic Mania.
Oh.
One of the chemical plant. I think it's the first chemical plant boss. Or maybe no, I think it's the second chemical plant boss in Sonic Mania, is you play Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine against Dr. Robotnik, which is kind of funny. And then, like, you win, and then you're just standing around waiting for something to happen because you didn't realize you're supposed to walk forward and jump up the tube. They don't tell you that. Because that game sucks. No, it's a good game. In any case, I don't want to make a sequel to that. I'm done with that. Like, we took Tails Sky Patrol and evolved it to the heavens and back to the seas on an arc. I don't want to just take the thing that has already happened with the character and just make a revised sequel for new and thirsty audiences. I want to make a brand new, top-of-the-line Eggman game. Are you with me on that?
Yeah, I mean, our argument for Tails was that Tails always gets kind of put to the side as, at best, Sonic's sidekick, And we were like, no, we don't even need Sonic in this game. We made it all about Tails and his life growing up in Catholic school. And we gave him more of an origin story when you think about it. And that's the thing we have to do that with this game. But it needs to be at that level where Eggman's the main focus, and that's it. I really have always liked that idea. Kind of like the Joker movie. Everyone liked the Joker movie.
Did they?
Everyone liked that. They didn't even have a Batman in it. They made references. We can make references. But this is a standalone Eggman game.
Okay.
I think we are in agreement.
Okay.
I think that's my reasoning for it, of why I
Okay.
agree.
So I think then because of that...
Cruella, another example. It's hot right now.
Did not see that. I did not see that at all. Yeah. Is what if Madonna killed puppies? That's about it. Right? To be fair, I didn't even see any trailers. So that's just what my impression is based off of what I've seen, which is almost next to nothing. I think we need to nail down a genre first and foremost. And while...
Like Venom. No, I'm just thinking about all the movies, the standalone movies.
I think with Tales, we went with a vibe and a theme, and we branched off of there. We didn't even really nail down any gameplay. We just said things, right? Ideas.
We had our studio
in execution,
work on that
they
part.
could have been terrible. I think we do need to nail down a genre. Easy ones are like, oh, it's an RTS. Oh, it's a strategy game. Oh, it's a robot building thing. Oh, it's a puzzle
mech
game.
It's a mech game.
Right? Yeah, I also forgot, he's playable in Sonic Adventure too. So, but now I don't want that genre of
You don't want
boring...
a Mech Warrior
No.
5.
No, I don't want Gundam. I don't want
I'm making sure.
Metal
I'm making
Chaos
sure
Wolf.
It's because it's on my whiteboard here of ideas, and I'm just I'm trying to erase some because there's a lot of words over here.
Okay. Maybe if we get From Software to make this, then we'll make it a mech game, because I want them to make another Armored Core. But Elden Ring first, please. Yeah, so first, I think we need to decide what we don't want him to do. Do we want this man running around and jumping?
No, I mean
No.
Eggman isn't about his physical attributes. He's not. Even in the regular Sonic games, like, he's a big boy, but he never really uses that to his advantage or tries to. It's all about his smartness and his technology. So
Okay.
I feel like if we don't do that, we're kind of getting away from his character.
Okay. So I think we also need to decide, are we controlling Eggman at all? Even if it's him controlling a thing he's in. Or is this an abstract Eggman is doing circuitry in a, are we running a warehouse, a factory, that kind of thing.
I see what you're saying. Like a zoo tycoon. Kind
like Football Manager, but for an Amazon warehouse of underpaid employees, robots that can't pee.
There's actually a game I saw at the Summer Games Festival, whatever it's freaking called. They actually have a game where you can make your own campus, and I was like, "Oh, can you put students into crippling debt? Can you affect that in the game? Is there like a thing be like, oh, I only want rich white kids to come to my school, so I'm gonna put the tuition
deep
up.
down? That's what colleges want. That's all they want.
You know what I mean? But like
private ones.
Anyways,
yeah. Well, there was that one game, Satisfactory, which was made by the Goat Simulator guys, I think, and that was you built a factory and ran it, but I never played it. But like, it was one of those like Epic Game Store just came out. Oh my god, this is an exclusive kind of, or it's on day one, something like that. That's all I remember of that. But
generally popular too.
Yeah, people like building things and watching the things that they thought of work.
Yeah,
people like feeling smart.
It is satisfactory. So yeah, I think that question though you asked can also depend on whether or not we want this to be a narrative of which we're kind of forcing the audience to watch. Like they don't change the narrative really in any way. Not saying you can't have a game where you are controlling the character and the narrative stays the same, but there's a difference between you don't control it at all. You don't change the outcome or change how you necessarily get there. You're kind of just watching it. Because then you're getting into like visual novel territory. Is that where your brain is thinking or no?
I'm thinking more of like, well, first off,
are we building around Eggman? Or you want us to be Eggman, and then and then we're interacting with the environment, or are we the environment interacting with him? That's where my brain's going when you ask that question. I think your brain might be in a different spot, but I'm not sure.
I'm thinking more legitimately about, like, are we running around in a mech as Eggman, or controlling Eggman doing things, or are we just, is this Eggman's empire? Is this more abstract where it's like, do Tetris on your phone because it's Eggman doing it?
Like a Tropico, but you're Eggman.
Exactly.
But you're not really Eggman.
I mean, you're sitting at the computer.
Yeah. But he pops up and he's like, yes, I need to take over this world and enslave all the Chow.
So perhaps we look at this more of like, every good story has 3 acts to it, right? And what I think is fun is when games change up their gameplay to match story beats. You might be doing doing this certain kind of gameplay, but when the character goes through an experience or you get like a time jump, you're either someone else or you're legitimately doing different types of gameplay or whatnot, right? Mm-hmm. Perhaps you could be spending 30 hours as, a blindfolded, white-haired anime robot lady, and then you replay it as her white younger brother boy or whatever, but he's like all of a sudden a twin-stick shooter whenever he hacks things. Yeah, they want to fuck, I don't care. But gameplay changes, right?
Yeah.
I think what would be interesting, I want to keep this abstract. I don't want us to be, I am directly maneuvering Eggman's hands, or I'm literally just playing Eggman as a platformer, or just, I am doing the things, right? I think I want to keep this abstract. And I think, depending on what story we want to chart, we can have a different simulation to represent each act or story. You could start off as a satisfactory for Act 1 or something. You're making your warehouse to make the things. Story parts happen that you don't directly control or have any influence over. You led up to them, though, with your gameplay. Now he runs the world. Now it's SimCity. Or something like that.
You know what? I like that a lot. Now I think about it. The first part could be him running a factory. Then he runs a town or a city. And then maybe he runs the world. And then the very last one, like a bonus epilogue, is...
Kill Sonic.
No, you take over the... Like, he goes to another world. And you start... And then it kind of ends in a cliffhanger. Be like, wait for the second game to come out. We're going to expand to the stars. Like, you know how in the Civilization games, one of the ways you win is you build a like an epic monument or whatever. And I think one of them is you can build a rocket ship. I could be wrong.
Go to the moon, I think, was one of those.
Yeah, that can be part of this game, where like that's how you end the story, is he goes to space, kind of like in real life, Jeff Bezos.
Okay,
if you think about, Jeff Bezos going to space, but think about it, kind of the same arc. He started off as a supposedly a genius.
I want to dial back, though. I'm
just saying, but like, there's some we can pull from reality.
There's some real life parallels there for sure. I want to dial back, though. I like the idea. We start small. First gameplay segment or act or whatever, vignette, whatever, right? Building the factory. Then it is, you say run a town, my brain jumped to run Eggman Land, where all of his robots are. He's just managing keeping them up. While the factory is still producing stuff, he doesn't need to touch that anymore. Now he needs to make sure that everything is maintained before the invasion's ready. Invasion happens in a story moment, or maybe we do Warcraft or Starcraft or whatever, and then that's how he invades, whatever, right? Then it's like a SimCity, but it's like the whole planet. When we get to all right, now he's branching off into space for your cliffhanger epilogue thing. You didn't play Mass Effect, but the story is that the Milky Way is full of different intellectual races, and they leave planets like ours alone until like they're smart enough, kind of like how Star Trek did it, where like once they're able to do something, then we make first contact. We, in Mass Effect's lore, we discovered the mass relay was hidden behind Pluto, which is how you can do light speed travel. I want that to happen, where he's like, all right, I run the world. Then he discovers like some ancient technology thing that was just hiding. He's like, oh, fuck. And then that's your sequel tease.
See, So it's
you
like,
don't even know if it's good or
It's
bad.
even bigger than Eggman. Like, he thought he was
Potentially.
the master of technology, and there's something else out there that's been there the entire time that's just as powerful, if not more powerful.
And
Like
we
a
don't even know if
Stargate
in the next
SG-1.
game they're bad guys or if it's just, all right, now take over Star Trek. You know what I mean? It's just good guys in space and Eggman just does it again. But
And
or
space
if it's
leaves
like,
you with so many different avenues that, like, we don't need to worry about that. It's just we need to get to that point. That's what
exactly,
we need to worry about.
make them worry about it later when
Yeah,
they make
yeah.
the sequel. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It could just be Mario Galaxy for whatever, you know what I mean? For all I care.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I think we have a good trajectory for the game's story.
Like a
Now,
rocket.
yeah,
Like a rocket.
yes. Ooh, we can even put in when he's practicing. Maybe the credits game. You know how sometimes it'll be like you can do something while the credits are happening. It's him practicing, landing rockets so they can be reused again or whatever. Right? We can do one of those. I find them shitty. I'm sure they're fun for people that are fucking smart. You ever play any one of those old like Moonlander games where it's like, all right, it's all math. Here's the land things like just going over an arc. Now you need to adjust the left throttle and the
Just
acceleration
like full
up.
simulation.
Exactly. Make it land. And it's like, if it's not perfect, kaboom. I can never get any of those fucking things to work.
Kind of like a Kerbal Space Program.
Yeah, but like, that's like way too complex for like legitimate what these old games are. It's like literally you just type in left acceleration this. All right, there is not wind speed, but there's
and those people
debris.
are going to the moon, and you're not.
I mean, they are. We'll make an easier version of it. We'll throw that in the credits. It's him practicing, and then the after credits is the discovery of the thing. But I like our trajectory of the story. Now, we could sit down here. And write a deep and engaging story about a young two-tailed fox getting bullied in Catholic school or whatever, and he plays Doom or whatever with his book to stop it. And then there's a moment where you either save the bullies or you restart the game. We could do something like that.
I forgot that was the punishment ending. If you chose the wrong thing, you go all the way back to the beginning.
You just start over. If you pick option 4 at all,
you didn't learn.
You start over. Yeah.
You didn't learn.
I think, though, we need to go step by step. And I think it does involve the gameplay. I think we have our ideas, a factory building. You're not necessarily designing the robots, but you're designing the factory that can efficiently make them fast enough to meet the deadline for world domination or something.
Can it be
right?
the heart of his military operation? That like everything will come out of there. So you need to make. He needs to make. There needs to be a box. Because like when I think of these kind of games, right? It's like a top down view. It has different. There's like the conveyor belts. You have to like organize them.
Yeah.
Right. There needs to be something in there, like a box in there, like here's the arms to this type of robot, or we need ammo. This is the ammo box. I mean, I'm just calling them boxes because like I don't know what else to like little cogs, whatever you want to call them. I think we need those kind of things. But I feel like that will just be a factory. We have to find a way to make it, I think, more than just like it can be a factory, like that's how it starts. But I feel like it needs to be the base of operations. So maybe we have to tie in something in there with like he needs to make some sort of AI system. Like maybe that's like, how like these games too have like a alternate like leveling up thing that's happening. Like, oh, you'd always got to be mining for ore because if you get enough of this, you can level up this, or you can learn this thing that will actually make your factory better.
A benefits B, which rolls back to A type of stuff. Yeah.
So I think we need some sort of like the factory wants to make robots, and the robots help make more robots, and then I think the ending of that factory is that it can run itself. He won't need to be there anymore.
Hence, we jump to the next thing where it doesn't matter about the factory. He's now trying to maintain all of his creations in a large space, getting ready for the invasion.
Yeah.
My brain, when you're saying all that, jumped to two things, right? Two things. First off, you mentioned AI and all that. Having something to hop back and forth between making the factory as efficient as possible because he needs to literally control the world using things built here. Jumping back and forth between that and something ancillary that supplements it, I think, and this benefits our story, Eggman grapples with the idea of his genius being the only one that matters, or
That's right.
is it possible that lesser minds that are still smart to a degree can benefit him in a degree? So what I'm saying is that he needs to run a world. He's trying to take over the entire planet. Is he a master general? Maybe not. So I'm assuming when you said AI, we're designing different AI personalities that are to be like a war council. See, I fucked up. I swapped the two. You keep saying council when you mean console. And I said console when I meant council.
Committee.
a war council, a committee, that's what we call it, to help design battle tactics and all this stuff, planning out the eventual war. Mm-hmm. And I think I would like this to be a dark and tragic tale where he ultimately decides that no, he is the only smart person. So I would think leveling up in that case is his psyche realizing I don't need this person. That kind of a thing. I don't know. What do you think?
I see where you're going. That's one idea. My idea is we do kind of a United States post-World War II operation called kind of like Operation Paperclip. Go Google it. Where he's going to try to get all the smart people, just buy them out, whatever he needs to do to get them there. And we'll kind of make it a little cartoony here. He realizes he's the smartest in the world, but he needs the AI to just be almost as smart as him. But he can't risk putting his brain in the computer because then he's going to die, right?
We watched the Resident Evil 9 gameplay trailer. It showed us what happens when he does that, right?
Yeah.
Then Sonic has to save him.
Yeah. That could be a tie-in. That could be like a little Easter egg to people are like, oh, I know. I saw you. I played Resident Evil 9. I know. Exactly. I know what that is.
Resident Evil Grand Prix.
In an alternate universe, this is Resident Evil 9. There you go. You can kind of tie it back to that. But in this reality,
it's the exact same date on the calendar, and then the same in the convenience store.
But instead, he's not putting his brain in the computer. He's like, I need all the smartness, all the other smart people in the world. I'm gonna put their brains into this computer to make an AI that's just as smart as me. But he'll get generals, he'll get nuclear scientists, he'll get engineers, doctors. He'll have them all to be as smart as him because he knows he's smart. But he doesn't want to risk his life because he was still in charge. You know what I mean? So he wants to get all the brains basically and bring them there. But I don't know how that would work because then that's I feel like a whole other gameplay. So it's just I had the idea, but I don't know if I really like it.
So you never played it, but Metal Gear Solid 5 is probably the best example of a main gameplay loop that has all of these ancillary things that feed directly into it. You can be playing and you could kill everyone, but if you do it non-lethal, you can capture them, and then that adds to your army, which then benefits your stats, and then increases the things you can make, which then literally makes new things you can use in the battle, and then there's all this and that, all these other things that loop straight back into the main gameplay. Our main gameplay in this section is making the factory as efficient as possible. Having smart minds, I think, can help that. And by the way, we can make this thing where this is all one long campaign where as the more efficient your factory was by the time it's wartime indicates a certain level of progress, benefits maybe other things later on. We could do something like that, doesn't matter. I'm talking as if we're actually going to make this fucking game. In my head, pretend that that's what happens, right? The better your factory is.
This is for actual Sega, who we always suggest take our ideas. And
aren't they also the football manager people?
I think they are. Yeah.
I think they're the football manager people. The acquiring of mines needs to benefit, obviously, that. Mm-hmm. But if you stray too far away from a completely different type of gameplay altogether, you know what I mean? Then you risk having just two different games. And since we're doing, vignettes of different gameplay stuff, it might almost feel like these are two different ones and not even the same thing. So my thinking is, for story reasons, he does a smart, rich, billionaire, in awesome, smart people summit. Put summit in that fucking name. Let's get all the fucking Elon Musks up in here and the Jeff Bezoses and yeah, Bill Gates, he ain't that great. Let's get him to. Let's entice all these people to come to our factory
to check it out
and take a tour to check it out. Have a summit. Chit chat. See what we can do.
Talk shop.
Exactly. And then so what you do, Devin, rhythmically on a set timer, because that's all like these simulation games like require planning and random elements can make or break it, right? So okay, this is coming. Maybe we don't have it as a summit, then maybe he just invites them. But in any case, because I don't want them all at once. Or maybe they all are at once, and then this happens over you're playing, the factory thing literally happens in one day, and this is hour 1, hour 2, whatever. A person or two, depending on how far you are in the game, games ramp up in difficulty. Bill Gates is taking a tour. He's easy. He's the easiest guy. He's the first guy, right? You are moving things around in the factory to make it more efficient, but you can also go out of your way to set up traps or anything that can capture Bill Gates, right? But those resources take away from making the efficiency stuff, right? It's a push or pull, but getting Bill Gates ultimately is even better than saving, those resources for that, right? But if you fail, then you just lost shit, and then now you've literally lost efficiency. It's the thing we know about capitalism. You can't lose anything. It's all about that constant increase, right?
All gains.
Exactly. We see that as a loss. You lost. We could have had more. This could have been, and the 3/4 you dropped down the sewer drain could have been $1 billion in 5,000 years. You lost us $1 billion.
Yeah.
You lost us $1 billion.
You didn't put it into this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You lost us $1 billion, right? So then we ramp it up, and then eventually it's like, I'm Elon Musk, and I'm walking around, and then Jeff Bezos is on the other side of the factory, and you're just one fucking mouse cursor.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Tough.
You gotta start planning stuff, because Jeff Bezos a little bit smarter than Bill Gates. In my head, in this game, whatever. The person later on is smarter than the first person.
We probably can't call them either. We'll have to change the names to Beth Bezos.
Phil Jates. It can just sound like it, right? Hef Bezos can look up and see a cage hanging from the ceiling right over where he's supposed to walk. He's a little privy to spatial awareness. So you got to get more creative, but you're trying to plan things out. You can catch too. It's possible. That kind of stuff. And then that benefits, that gets you more resources later on because he finds new, different, efficient ways.
Maybe when before they come, they give you 3 facts about them, and then you have to use. Maybe there's 20 traps that you can make in the game, but only certain ones work on certain smart people. So you're Beth Gates or whatever's freaking. I've already forgot the names that we made.
I said Phil Jates.
Phil Jates is coming, and they give you 3 a profile on him, and it's he likes ice cream. So you're okay, I'm gonna put an ice cream stand that has a pit in front of it when he steps on it. There you go. But you have to put your resources into that.
But then later on, you're starting to all right, there's the obvious thing, the ice cream. He says he likes ice cream stand with the pit. But next fact about him, he's always looking at his feet when he's walking.
Oh, no.
He'll see the pit. So that's not the obvious choice. You need to find a way to make him look up when he walks up there.
Oh, he likes airplanes? Put in a sky roof.
Exactly. That's the level of thinking you need to get ahead. And when all of a sudden you have to do 2 people at once,
gets complicated.
And you have to somehow try to make them overlap like a Hitman level, where you have to kill 2 targets.
While also having your conveyor belts and all that happening.
Exactly. You can't stop making the robots. Capitalism, right?
Are the robots helping make these traps? I feel like that should be
I'd like to think we
right?
are not Eggman here. We are whatever systems and automations he set up to have the factory build and run itself. You know what I mean?
So are we the AI that he makes at the end by the end of the game? It's from the AI's perspective, and we call the game
yes and
Eggman's
no, because
AI, something like that.
Yes and no, because I think for the SimCity aspect, I do want to be Eggman deciding how we govern the planet.
Be from the factory. That's the big plot twist. Is that you? Like, and then
You get shut off at the end. That's when he realizes he doesn't need anyone. He shuts us off. You, the player, is shut off.
Oh, I like that.
Okay.
Because you think you're playing it, and then all of a sudden...
Exactly.
Also, I'm assuming this game is going to be like 100 hours long, and this first part is going to be like 40 hours. So people who review the game have no idea.
Exactly.
About the crazy
We'll
plot
pull a
twist
Naughty Dog thing where you can't talk about 90% of the game because you could spoil the fact that she wears jeans in this one scene. Apparently, the NDAs for Last of Us Part 2 were egregious last year. Like, you couldn't talk about Abby at all, that she even existed.
Oh, wait, we're going to do that. Fuck that.
Well, in this evil world, yes.
Fuck the press.
Exactly. In fact, the game is called Eggman, but you need to call him Robotnik in your review.
Call my
all right, let's move on from the factory because we got a lot more stuff here for this thing, right?
Okay, so the factory is making traps. You're collecting brains, basically, of smart people to create a better AI, which is creating the factory.
Right. Which, but like, main gameplay is still using your resources to make the factory as efficient as possible to make more robots for the upcoming invasion.
Great. Okay.
The trapping people is additional challenges provided once a week in game time or whatever to help that even more, or potentially it's a risk reward type of thing, right?
Maybe
that
later on down the line it rewards you if you got all the smart people that you can build technology that
trophies.
Yeah, but generally speaking, I think you need to make the factory as efficient as possible, and there needs to be the leveling up of the AI, which we find out in the end is what you are for the first part of the story. I like that.
I would also like the idea that he shuts you off because he realizes that
you're too smart.
You know,
or not too smart. That like maybe he talks to you. He's like, "Oh, you figured it all out. I'm so proud of you, my baby child," or whatever. And then it like just cuts to like whatever we're doing with the city. Like it's just a straight cut. Like I don't like the idea of him shutting it off because that implies that we die or the player dies.
But then what I'm saying is that you do that because then the twist is that he didn't destroy us. And we're on the rocket ship with him.
Oh.
And we boot back up there. But obviously, it's not like you don't get to see the rest of the game.
So the AI is creating the factory but isn't running the factory. Because I think if we shut off the AI, then the
you don't need a supercomputer that can think and all that to just keep constant motions going on. Like, as long as he's got dumb robots to just shovel coal, I don't know, into what I mean, something to provide materials. The factory can just work on its own.
Or maybe he puts the AI on like a cooldown or like a dumb juice. Basically, just like I don't like the idea of it completely being shut off. It's more of just say like you'll awaken.
Okay,
again.
fuck. I want to move on from the factory, but even better idea. The robots you're making can also be made to help run the factory, therefore making the factory run faster, but like you're not making battle robots.
Yeah, that's the
you're
end
making
game.
Worker.
That's the end game of building the factories. Eventually, you have to make robots that we can do everything themselves, and then the AI is no longer needed.
Exactly.
Like God. Like God.
Exactly. God created man so man could destroy God.
Or no, so God could leave and be like, on to my next adventure. Back to the Tales.
Sure. Exactly. He was Lex Luthor Jr. in that movie because he had hair. Fans got upset. So Zack Snyder said, you know what? He's Junior. That's legitimately,
didn't even know that.
That is legitimately the evolution of that story. They changed it. He was just supposed to be Lex Luthor. But since people are like, but he's supposed to be bald. We're like, and he's not like supposed to be a tech brat. Like, well, actually, he's the kid now. That was the story for that. In any case, we are now managing a town type of gameplay.
Yeah.
I want this to be different than simply SimCity, though, or whatever that would be for the equivalent of running the world. It needs to be different. So maybe this is more of like Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Well, that's why I say Tropico, because it isn't just, the town is already made for you, and you just have to fix its problems. So there's going to be, with world domination becomes problems. You have revolutions, revolts, you have an economy you need to manage, you need to make housing for probably all the refugees that you're going to be creating. Because once you invade the world, I don't know where anyone goes, but I'm assuming there's a lot of destruction and they have to rebuild. So I feel like all those kind of elements need to happen. And I remember I haven't played that much of Tropico, but I do know that like a tornado comes, and that you have to prepare for that. But also it could be people are unhappy because I have no electricity. Fix that. Like we can have those kind of issues. Because is he making a utopia? Is he making?
Okay, I'd like to think of it like this: his whatever area of the world that he has his Eggman factory, whatever large country he owns or whatever, that's already pre-established, like you're saying there for that. But the SimCity aspect of world dominating on the planet is, all right, the invasion destroyed everything. Now you rebuild Utopia, Eggman land for the entire planet. So that's one way you can differentiate. Because when you go full world scale, you ain't managing budgets on fucking towns and shit. You know what I mean? Like that shit's gonna have to handle itself. You're building giant Eggman statues, and you're trying to manage resources to build shit. Okay, so then let's work.
And
back
let's
now.
be real. Let's be real. I mean, even Eggman in the movie, the Sonic movie, he sees humans lesser than his technology. I like that. I like that he doesn't care about human life. So I would assume that if there aren't any humans, it's just going to be like slavery. Jesus. By the way, we're not trying to say slavery.
That is a good idea.
But I'm just saying this is what this character is.
But that's a good point, though. What do we do with the people then?
Dude, because
making them slaves makes it almost like there's
we just don't mention it. There's no people, but we don't mention it. But you know what happened. It's implied that everyone died but him.
What is Eggman in the game's ultimate goal then? If he runs everything, he doesn't like anyone. So what's his plan? Kill everyone?
I mean, I'm assuming if he's going to go to war, nukes going to be dropped. A lot of innocent people are going to die. I think everyone would be innocent in this scenario if you just started blowing up cities. I'm assuming that's what you're going to have to... You're going to at least blow up military bases and all that. So, I mean... I feel like, though, if we're just doing a straight rebuilding city simulator, which we don't see that often. We always have a build your own city. No, we have a rebuilding a civilization instead of starting from scratch. No, there's not trees around. No, it's rubble. It's like a...
Isn't that just then paint by numbers, but for cities? Put this building goes here again. This building goes there.
No,
again.
I'm saying like you have to decide. Like, do you want to keep half of this building that's destroyed and kind of renovate it, or do you want to completely demolish it? Like, different things require different resource. Back to the resource managing. You have to know when to demolish a building or when to build onto it.
Right.
But I think you just ignore all the people and we don't say what happened, but you kind of know.
Okay.
I don't like the idea of putting slaves in this game, even though it's also just as fucked up that we just killed everybody as Eggman. I mean, we didn't do it. Eggman did it. We're just building for fun.
Right, of course.
It's games.
So...
Shit, if Call of Duty can get away with, like, changing history and whatever, we can just say it's...
Actually, it was the Russians that did the bad thing.
We'll just... I like the idea of just, like, we just don't talk about... We say the invasion happened, and that's it.
Okay.
Don't worry about the ethics.
We need to hop back, though, and we have Eggman Town, Eggman City, needs to manage itself while we continuously build more robots, because we don't have enough to invade the world, right? So we need to corral all these people, keep them fed and occupied. Well, they don't eat. Maybe they do. Occupied, right?
But now we're getting back into, like, holding a lot of people in a spot, concentration camp.
They're robots he made. We're talking about the robots he made.
Okay, good. I thought you were talking about, like, we need to get all the people. I'm like, hold up.
I mean, we could do that, too. I don't care. Executions.
Yeah,
Eggman could kill them all.
But then you're talking about... I like the idea that the invasion happened. Like, we made the factory, and the factory makes...
And we just skip straight to, now it's all done?
The world has ended.
You don't want something? I think we need something in between. Even if it's like...
There's an hour-long movie in between.
Jesus.
That explains it.
Even if it's like a StarCraft type of, like, RTS invasion thing.
Okay, here, how about this? Most of the invasion has happened. There's some last places that haven't been. If you really want that human conflict versus robots, we do that. But I feel like that's got to be like. It's gonna be like, oh, what remains of L.A. You know,
Olympus has fallen.
Olympus has really, really fallen. See, I think that's our issue right now.
What was that movie where they knocked the Eiffel Tower over?
I don't fucking know.
Was that G.I. Joe?
I don't know. But I think the issue we're having right now is whether or not we go from the factory to the invasion or skip the invasion and go to the rebuilding. Or is that rebuilding part of the third half of the game / building a spaceship?
The reason why I want that, something in between, all right, now we rebuild and we're making a factory to do the invasion, is we need to have his character go through an arc. You just jumped the payoff that he got from building the factory straight to, all right, now we build more other things, right? You need something in between there. Otherwise, I almost feel like they're disjointed. We need his character to go through stuff. So, I think...
That's the issue. We never have Eggman go through anything, really, besides, like, his daughter had cancer, maybe, or something.
Yeah, something.
I like the
Shadow
idea
the
of him being
Hedgehog.
straight evil, and you're just the dude who's making the shit. I want this game to be fun and not have to worry about ethics, the politics. I know earlier.
Okay.
I know earlier, or in Tales, we wanted all the politics in the religion. We're taking a step back. We're taking a step back from that. Games are getting too political. All right, games are getting too political. We're taking a step back.
Let's then decompose everything we've said so far besides the factory. That is now our entire gameplay. But in each act, when we flash forward to invasion time, you're doing different things in the space with the mechanics, not game mechanics, not like I'm making a car, but the actual game mechanics in the same space you've always been in, but you're now doing different things with those mechanics. And then we hop to, all right, now it's rebuilding. We're not making robots anymore. We're building, I don't know, construction equipment or this or that. Maybe during the invasion part, we're making more bombs. Maybe, and then, you know what I mean? And then we're making rocket ship parts for the finality of this whole game, right? If we just take a step back and it's like...
That'd be a little bit better for our AI arc, too. That we could be like, the AI is always getting smarter and smarter.
We are then detached from Robotnik, but we're viewing him from afar through the lens of something that he created that is questioning its purpose. And eventually gets shut off.
And he goes to the moon.
Exactly.
Or wherever he goes. We just see him go off in the ship. We don't know where he goes. Yeah. Oh my god, hold up. That's the ending scene. The rocket ship's blasting off, and you're the AI, and he's talking to you. And then you start questioning. Be like, what was all this for? He says, you'll never know. And he shuts you off. We don't need him to have an arc, because we don't know it.
The AI has the arc.
The AI has the arc. Questioning.
Yeah.
People love that. People love when the AI questions humanity. We're also not going to have any politics. We're not going to have any ethics in this because we're still a basic AI. We're not going to question like human rights and all that.
I do want the sequel tease of the aliens though at the end. We need to figure out a way to incorporate that, but somehow. Okay, yeah. But yes. So our game now is entirely the factory, managing the factory. Our space is this space. We do not leave this space. We are stuck in this factory.
How big is this space, by the way? Are we able to like scroll up to another section, or is it just... Because I feel like that's going to be super tiny, or not enough space to like do all this stuff. I feel like it's something that you can expand out on if needed. Like the factory can get bigger.
Add it to the list of things you can spend time building instead of the robots. Building more factory space or something. Yeah, I mean, I would imagine it would increase as you go through the game. You're also literally building bigger things. When I picture robots that to go to war, I'm picturing about human-sized robots. Bombs are bigger.
And that way we can tell people that
spaceship parts are even bigger.
Is going to war, but we don't have to show any of it. We're just building we're just the arms dealer, basically.
We just hear about it. Because we are a super smart AI. We're a super smart AI. But we're not the only intelligent thing. The robots have to have a level of intelligence, and they can gossip. That's how we hear about it. Maybe we don't even get to communicate with anyone. Maybe we don't have that functionality.
Robotnik doesn't
so we
that.
literally just hear from worker robots
or robots
about
that came
the invasion.
Robots that came back that need fixing.
Exactly.
They're like, man, I can't believe that battle in Boston
Open up their black box, go through their data logs. Oh, yep. Like, this one fell on the San Francisco Bridge or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
Hawaii was a real tough get.
We're working there. Had to find a way to cross that water. Oh, we should probably make robots that are waterproof.
There you go. And then you're like, okay, and then we'll increase your chances. That actually is interesting too. I don't feel like a strategy game's done that before. Usually in a strategy game like this, you're seeing it and you're like, okay, I need to make boats to cross the water to invade the other people. In this, it just tells you, and you can decide whether or not to keep making robots that aren't waterproof and hopefully just win slowly but surely, or you can increase the invasion quicker, make the invasion more efficient by being like, oh, we're gonna make waterproof robot, or we're gonna make submarine robots or something. Like, I like that.
Yeah.
And also, you can make like a certain amount of different types of classes of robots too, but you don't actually have to deploy them. You just make them.
I know you don't want to get political, but we could keep this also the idea that the lens of this AI character's view of the world is very limited to the factory because they don't know anything about the world. So you're literally hearing the person has to question Eggman's tactics, learning about people and genocide and yada yada yada, right? Learning about the world, questioning towards the very end.
But what if it's more of a perspective of, I feel bad for the things I'm creating are going and dying or coming back hurt. Like, in a way that,
and that's obviously more sympathetic, right?
They don't know if it's the humans are bad. Like, they see humans as bad, but they're sympathetic. But at the same time, they're like, are we the bad guys too? You know, because we're the ones that are invading.
I would even say I would take it even more abstract. View the invasion as a task to be completed, a thing to build in a factory. But then the people that you know, that you have attachment to...
The robots.
Right. Regardless if it's a deep attachment or if it's just, I see people, or robots, that have personality or opinions to a degree, coming back, suffering from the task. The task isn't other people necessarily. I mean, it is, but like, it's not viewed like a war, it's a task to be done. And then, because obviously, you know, we're never going to see any of this stuff. Maybe we do briefly at the end, and it's like the big climax, you know what I mean? Like, our whole view was this top-down thing, and then the camera gets picked up, and now it's a 3D thing, and we don't get to control, but we just see the rest of the world as we're being put in the spaceship, and then he shuts you off or something, right?
Something
I don't know,
like
whatever.
That. Yeah.
Something to make big, fun, flashy. I like when games are like, you always ever done this, and now we just fucking took it and changed it, and you had no idea it was coming, right? I like that. But in any case, I like the idea of keeping the war, in quotes, very, not even black and white. It is just a job to do, and there is no, like, it's just, the people aren't bad. Like, I don't want that angle on it. It's just, well, we just have to do this. This is just work to do, right? This is just a task. I'm saying
the player will have those questions.
Well, yeah. And maybe we don't even tell the player that we are building for a war. They have to figure it out as we're going. We're just building these things for the thing. Right.
They're like, okay, why do we need weapons? Why do we need them to be bulletproof? Like, oh, shit, are we doing? And, like, you're just sending them out. And, like, as you're growing with the AI, learning as you go, like, oh, we're doing real bad shit. And maybe towards the end of the game is after you build the rocket ship, that's when, like you said, like, we come face to face with Robotnik, we start questioning, be like, what have you done? And he'll be like, no, what have you done? You did
it. Yeah.
Like, there's that conversation there.
Yeah, you start by building. I mean, you need to have stuff already there to build things if you're an AI. Otherwise, you're people literally planking things together.
I think you need to make like a scout robot that goes and brings back resources.
Well, I'm not even saying like scout, like take it a step back. Build construction robots to continue finishing the factory or whatever. So you're just building those things. And then it is, Yeah, sure. Just very basic, like, not obviously war soldiers. War soldiers? Call of Duty war soldiers. Remember Medal of Honor Warfighter?
No.
That's the name of a game, yeah. It's like 2013.
Great year.
Yeah, exactly. Recession still going strong. Yeah, and then I like the idea that you, the player, don't necessarily realize what's going on. And of course, our NDA for reviews is the first 5 minutes of the game when you boot it up, which is mainly the main menu. That's all they get to talk about there in review, besides saying the game's amazing. It makes you question things.
They get the
but we're not
gameplay,
tell you
that's
what.
all that matters. We don't want the
Exactly.
story to be spoiled.
Exactly.
We don't want anyone to bring up politics or anything.
I think this is good. I don't know, what else do we want for this?
I just want to elaborate more on the building out. I like the idea too that it feels restricted at first, and there's like a certain point of where like you can zoom out, and like maybe the I imagine there's like a grid, right? Like there's a loose grid, like maybe there's like tiles on the floor that
aren't necessarily like obviously on a grid, but you can just kind of do the math and be like, gee, they're always this kind of 2x2 kind of shape.
Yeah.
The
and
things
like
you're placing
each thing
around.
is a 4x4, 3x3, whatever. It works. Like we don't have to make it obvious it's a grid, but it gives the player or the builder the ability to
a bit of like feeling efficient instead of like
I like the idea that, let's say like the first opening part we say is 100 by 100, maybe less, whatever, but by the end I'm talking 500 thou by 500 thou. I'm talking big number, like it like you can zoom in and zoom out like super far.
So an idea with that, instead of just having the thing just endlessly be able to scroll anywhere and you somehow have to manage all that, think of it more of like, our initial idea was like, the factory's built, now it's self-sustaining, now we take a grand step up. You know what I mean? We're looking at it, now it's very tiny. It's an element that is self-sufficient, that is working on its own. Much like how this one weld automatic arm that welds robot pieces together is already self-sufficient in the regular gameplay. You know what I mean? Like that's a thing you place, right? That's how we kind of looked at the factory. Go halfway with that. First few levels, you are working on building the literal robots, and you're making that as efficient as possible. A few levels later, acts 2 or however long, we now take a step out and we go to a different part of the factory where you're building other things. And then you do that a couple times, and that a couple times. Then it gets to the point where, you zoom out, and this ward of the building is the robot building part. And you can click to zoom in and change things, and you click to zoom out, hop to another one. But you have a literal gigantic, 5 mile by 5 mile, factory going on, as opposed to just...
And you could see all the little moving parts in it. I mean, that's cool too, that like for the player that they grinded all that time into it, and they could see what it looks like from...
Right.
And people will share that on social media, be like, look at my factory, and they're like, oh wow, I did this, and like they can do that, right?
Exactly. Like how people make art in Minecraft.
Yeah, exactly.
Do that with like the pixels and the thingy.
And that could be like that could be our marketing for a year after the game comes out. It's all about, what did you make? What did you do?
Exactly.
For world domination. But we won't say we did world domination, but everyone will know by that point.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, this is the Sega that's going to take over the world.
That's true. We got to put this on the Sega Super Remastered, which must come with a mouse now because, Jesus. I mean, there are plenty of grid-based RTSs and all that work fine with the controller.
I mean, it's compatible. This is the God-tier machine. It works.
Exactly.
It just works.
We spent an entire episode building that machine. It just works for whatever game we're doing. It just works.
Episode into just one sentence: a machine that does everything and works.
And works, yes, exactly. I think how the episode worked was, I think how that episode went. Sorry, I'm tired. Was we said that sentence many times for an hour in different tiny ways, but and it works. And it does this, and it always works. So yes, this should not go for the handheld. This should go for the regular home console.
Yeah. We can have a
right.
handheld version.
Oh my god,
that's a lot
I forgot.
More watered down.
I forgot that our handheld, when you flipped it around,
That's right. Yeah.
each cartridge was a picture of the main character praying because you slotted it next to the crucifix that was next to the cartridge slot.
Yeah.
I forgot that.
Yeah,
it was literally a religious handheld.
So stupid.
I don't want this for that. I think I want this to be on the big boy machine.
Yeah.
Although I don't think we ever established that the handheld console was any weaker. So essentially it was probably just the same thing, but portable.
So, why didn't you just make it portable from the first place? Don't worry about it.
All right, so you could buy a second one.
So you can buy a second.
Exactly.
For $5,000 or however much we were charging it for.
It would be like as if Nintendo came out with the Switch Lite first. And now you could play it on the TV. It's like, well, fuck.
They should have done that, to be honest. People still would have bought it.
That would have worked. I mean, yeah, think about the Switch Lite. If that was just the console, be like, this is like the greatest handheld ever. And then now, like, oh, now you could play it on the TV.
Yeah.
Honestly, that probably
Nintendo
would have
should
been.
Send someone back in time, Terminator style, to just go back and be like, don't put it on the TV yet.
Swap the order.
Swap the order. Swap the order. We're talking billion. Back to the quarters falling in the sewer. Billions.
Oh my god. Yes. Any case. Well, do we want anything else, or should we wrap this up?
I think we should name the game. I think we should title this back.
That helps, I guess.
Like what's our?
This is our third game, because we made Resident Evil Grand Prix. So that one was a one starring Sonic.
Which on face value, it makes no sense. Like the title.
Well, no, because IX is 9, and it took place in a like
track.
Moto Grand Prix track.
Yeah,
it made sense. Not necessarily the Sonic elements of it, but it made sense. Because I mean, I have a copy of.
Out of all
Village
the games,
right
that
here,
is the one game that I do want to. Legitimately, I would love to play a Sonic. I'm sure someone could just mod fucking Sonic as Leon in Resident Evil 2 and just
sure
call it
they
a
have.
day. But
I'm sure they have. Do we? Okay, so I don't necessarily want to name this Eggman something because we're not him. You know what I mean? Or unless it's Dr. Eggman's Wonderland Factory.
I was
Or,
thinking,
you know
like,
what I mean?
Eggman's AI. Like I feel like I know it's kind of boring, but like it's describing exactly what it is.
Tails Church Patrol is a better name.
We stole it from another. Making it sound like
just-
it's a sequel, but it's not.
Right. Do we want it to be Eggman or Robotnik?
But see, we were all about like making this an Eggman standalone game, and I realized we didn't even make an Eggman standalone game.
But I mean, that's the point was that, yeah, he has a personality in the games, but he's just the villain, and his ultimate goal is always take over everything and turn it into a big robot city for him. But he has no nothing beyond that, right? Obviously, because it's just cartoon villainy for the heroes to defeat. That's it, right? That's just it. So we don't know what he wants. We would have to make up so much shit. Tails, it's easy. You can just look at that fucker and be like, oh yeah, that kid probably got picked on. I think legitimately, the lore for how Sonic and Tails became friends was that Sonic stopped kids from picking on him. I think that's legitimately it. I think I read that somewhere.
Someone fact check us.
Who cares? So, I think this is the Eggman game. Because Eggman's always just going to be doing the thing. You know what I mean? How we do the thing is what the gameplay is.
Game?
Could I mean, fuck it.
Or call it
The
AI,
Eggman game.
colon, the Eggman game. Because it is all a game to Eggman.
But it's mostly a factory. Like, yeah, we are an AI, but like...
Creating a factory for him to take out the world. And then we are part of the problem, but he was the one that made us.
Okay, so the game is called Eggman's Factory. However, the word factory for factory in the first A is like the word art for it is F, and then it's like in different font or making it graphic or whatever, it says AI Tory. You know what I mean?
So
you still pronounce it factory. I don't know.
Is there another? No, there's no I in factory, huh?
Maybe you could change
You
the
could change
Y
it
to an
change
I.
it to refinery, but then there's no A. Unless you highlight the A in Eggman and the I in refinery as its own font.
Fuck it, this is for the religious handheld. Eggman's Faith.
Eggman's.
No.
That's the only way I think of in terms of doing what you want to do with it. I feel like that'd be kind of weird. Factory. Or it could just be called Eggman's AI Factory.
He's not making AI though. That sounds like you're making AI. Also, we're trying to the Jeff Bezos thing in there too. We're keeping that though. We just gotta make it work with whatever we said about the AI's character. It's the first people he ever meets. Naming this is hard.
Just call it Eggman.
Fine.
Just like the Joker. Everyone Cruella. Eggman. People will think it's one thing and they're like, it's not. And they'll kind of be disappointed, but fuck them.
They already paid for it. So.
Everyone's going to buy it. Because they have
it's
to.
for the Sega Super Remastered.
Because they have to.
Okay.
In our reality, they have to.
This is another game for the Sega Super Remastered hit console, the Eggman game, a.k.a. just Eggman, releasing soon in stores.
Can I call it Eggman : the Eggman game?
For a solid $94.99 US dollars.
That's cheap.
All games. I mean, right? This is hundreds of hours of gameplay. If you just keep playing it over and over again. Now, every game has replayability.
Don't worry,
if you just
we'll
play
have
it again.
$5,000 DLC.
Yes, I think the machine cost $8,000. So think about it. $95 for an $8,000 game. I'm paying $70 for a $500 console.
Yeah, you have to do the percent,
exactly
the ratio to that.
This is a steal. This is practically indie game pricing. You're welcome.
It really should be like. Well, how much did we say it was? 10,000.
8,000, 10,000,
8,000.
more than 6.
You're talking at least like $500.
Well, okay, so if the PlayStation 5 was $500,
yeah.
If it was $5,000, games would be $700.
Okay, I think
you know what I mean.
I think we have to bump up that price.
Okay, the game is $3,000 because it has thousands of hours of replayability,
and it's an exclusive.
Absolutely,
and a Sega original.
Exact. No politics.
No politics, but trust me.
Exactly.
Once you actually play it, you realize there's a lot of humanity here.
Exactly. I actually do want to get Far Cry 6, though. It looks like it'd be fun. I like Juan Carlos Esposito, but Breaking Bad. I don't know what he was in before Breaking Bad, but
Mandalorian.
Before Breaking Bad.
Oh. Mandalorian.
Not after. I was gonna say, do you think Breaking Bad was like this year?
Still going.
That was
right?
that was like an early 2010 show. All right, this has been an episode of the Sonic Movie Show. Thank you all for listening and tuning in. You can follow the show on Twitter at Sonic Movie Show. Let us know what you thought about Eggman. Follow me on Twitter at Ethan Absolutely, and follow Devin on Twitter at Cursona Fun. I almost said Cursona YouTube. Cursona Fun, CURSONAFUN. Yeah, let us know what you thought about the game that we made. Will you be buying it? Because it's in stores soon.
Now.
See ya.
It's already here.
Fuck.